This is Dante Williams, and you're watching Dante's Boxing Nation.
It is Teddy Atlas, and you're watching Dante's Boxing Nation. Keep watching, otherwise,
Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? You know, it seems to me, ever since Manny Pacquiao became a big star in the sport of boxing, what came along with Manny Pacquiao are new names that we call fighters like Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao. Words like Flomo and Pactard, right? So I said to myself, I started thinking about these words, and I said to myself, you know what? Let me do a video, and let's break down the definition of what these words really mean and how they represent the fighters and the fighters' fans that follow these fighters. I wanted to break down the meaning of what these words, Flomo and Pactard, what they really mean, and what do they really say about these type of fans that get called these names. And I first started my research off first trying to get an answer or a response from the many fans that use these words. Since we hear Flomo and Mayweather more often than we hear Pactard, those are the main guys that I asked. So I sent a couple messages to the guys that like to use words like Flomo, Mayweather. I asked them in detail, can you give me the definition of what a Flomo is? And can you create the distinction between a Flomo and a Manny Pacquiao fan? That was the question that I asked a couple people. And not too surprisingly, none of them responded to me. Now, when I asked a couple people, what is the definition of a Pactard, I did get a response. And I'm going to talk about that response later on in this video. Now, me personally, I already understood the definition of both of those words, or both of those names that are used. But I just asked the question because I wanted to see what type of response I would get back, to see if it basically correlates with my answer. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into what are the true definitions of these two words. Let's start with the word Flomo. Now, we already know that the word Flomo is a mixture of Floyd and homo, right? So in other words, what the fans are basically saying about a Floyd Mayweather fan, or not even a Floyd Mayweather fan, someone who says something positive about Floyd Mayweather, right? They don't even have to be a fan. They could just say, you know what, I think Floyd Mayweather is the best fighter of this era. You know, I think Floyd Mayweather is this and that. Whatever you say positive about Floyd Mayweather, that would basically qualify you to be considered a Flomo, or to be called a Flomo. So in other words, to break it down even easier, what it basically suggests is if you like this guy at all, something is wrong with you, because you're supposed to know that you're not supposed to like this guy. So that's basically what the word Flomo means, right? And it's really interesting because when I was thinking about, you know, these names, Flomo versus Pactard, I started to think to myself, you know what, now that I think about it, the fans that say Flomo, they're not actually saying anything negative about Floyd Mayweather. So basically what these fans are telling you in microcosm is that we don't like him. You're not supposed to like him either. If you do like him, there is a problem with you. So they're not really saying anything bad about Floyd Mayweather. Matter of fact, it's quite the contrary. Because if you really think about it, the worst thing they could say about Floyd Mayweather or Floyd Mayweather fans is, oh, you like that guy. That's it? That's the worst thing you could say about him, right? Notice they're not talking about his skill. They're not saying that he's not a great fighter. They're not saying anything about his boxing ability. The only thing they're saying is anything that you say positive about Floyd Mayweather is basically an abomination. So that's basically what the definition of a Flomo is. A guy that does not personally hate Floyd Mayweather. A guy who may say something positive about Floyd Mayweather from time to time when you're just talking boxing. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Now, let's look at the Pactard, the definition of a Pactard. If you think about it, the definition of a Pactard is completely different than the definition of a Flomo, right? Let's look at the word Pactard. What does Pactard mean? We know by just listening to the word exactly what it's a combination of. The word Pactard is a combination of Pacquiao and retard, right? Retard. That's what a Pactard is. Basically, the definition suggests that a Pacquiao fan is clueless. He's not smart. He's a dumbass fan. He is so divorced from reality that he never makes sense when he talks about the sport of boxing because he is engulfed and he is blinded by pride and ignorance. Not only that, but it also suggests that this person, maybe he was never a knowledgeable boxing fan until Manny Pacquiao came along. That is the definition of a Pactard, right? And if you think about it, that's exactly the type of fans that we see follow Manny Pacquiao. Unfortunately, this is not to suggest that all of the fans are ignorant, but the majority of them, they are. So isn't it interesting when you break down what is the true meaning of the word Pactard versus the word Flomo? It's so interesting because the names, the definition, I should say, or the meaning of the words are totally different. Once again, when you're talking about a Flomo, you're not saying anything bad about Floyd Mayweather. In a certain way, it almost sounds as if you're admitting that this guy is great, but I hate him, right? The worst thing you could say about a Floyd Mayweather fan is that a Floyd Mayweather fan likes Floyd Mayweather or says good things about Floyd Mayweather, right? So what that would basically suggest that people like Mikey Garcia, he's a Flomo. People like Oscar De La Hoya, Ricky Hatton, Sergio Martinez, Mosley, Nacho Beristain, just to name a few, these are all Flomos, right? Now when it comes to a Pactard, we know who the Pactards are. That's the vast majority of the fans on the internet, online, guys you run into at the grocery store, guys that don't really know a whole lot about boxing, the decafs, right? But if there was one thing that I could give Manny Pacquiao fans credit for, that is definitely their loyalty. They are definitely loyal to their fighter, Manny Pacquiao. Now, see, this is something that never made sense to me. Once again, when it comes to Manny Pacquiao, all of the fans are pretty loyal. They're pretty much on the same page. But when it comes to Floyd Mayweather, you have the fans and the haters that are so divisive, it doesn't even make any sense. I mean, this is where I get real serious. Only in the black race do you see black guys on YouTube, online, basically going to war on some Tupac Biggie type shit just because one black guy is upset that another black guy is saying something positive about Floyd Mayweather. Is that the most ridiculous shit you've ever heard? I mean, just think about it for a second. How many times have you seen two Filipino guys on YouTube that make videos beefing with each other because one Filipino guy is pissed off that the other Filipino guy is praising Manny Pacquiao? The answer would be never. You ain't never seen nothing like that, right? I mean, just imagine it. Imagine a Filipino guy making a video dissing another Filipino fan saying, yeah, fuck so-and-so, that motherfucker got the nerve to say Manny Pacquiao is great and he pound for pound one of the best fighters in the world. Stop riding this dick, motherfucker. Your channel ain't shit, so on and so forth. You never see shit like that, right? But you always see shit like that when it comes to black fans talking about Floyd Mayweather. And don't lose the message, okay? Because I'm not saying that you can't dislike Floyd Mayweather. I'm not saying you can't hate him. If you want to do that, that's fine. But it should never get to the point where it pours over to you beefing with another fan. Now you pissed off at other fans just because they believe that the guy is a good fighter, right? And once again, we don't hear these, these black dudes that go back and forth beefing, or even non-black guys that they go back and forth beefing. We don't normally really hear them attacking Mikey Garcia for saying Floyd Mayweather is my favorite fighter. We don't really hear them attacking Nacho Beristain for saying that he's the Michael Jordan of the sport. If there were other planets, he'd be the best on those planets too. We don't hear people attacking them. They're only attacking the messengers on the internet, on YouTube, online, right? Does it make any sense? Of course it doesn't make any sense. Now, and I just recently uploaded a video with Robert Garcia talking about the Canelo versus Lara fight. It's an exclusive interview from my boys from hoopjab.com. Go ahead and subscribe to them. They have a lot of exclusive interviews with all the celebrities, stars, boxers, etc., etc. So anyway, in that interview, Robert Garcia, he starts off his response when he's asked the question, what do you think about the Canelo versus Lara fight? The first thing comes out of his mouth is, well, you know, us Mexicans have to support our Mexican fighters. And then, to no one's surprise, he picks Canelo to win the fight. Now, what's so funny about all of this is I had just made a video prior to that where I was talking about Angulo's thoughts on the fight, right? And I told you guys, Angulo, he's been inconsistent with what he thinks will happen in the fight. There's other interviews where he said Lara will win the fight, Lara's a better fighter, and then later on he said he thinks it's a 50-50 fight. I explained to you guys in that video that that could be pressure from Mexican fans and the Mexican pride, not allowing Angulo to be honest and say, I think Lara's going to beat this guy, because then Angulo would have to worry about the backlash from the Mexican fans calling him a sellout, saying that he's not loyal to his race. And that may be the reason why he said it's a 50-50 fight. So I thought it was pretty interesting. And right after I tell you guys that, Robert Guerrero, he pretty much corroborates everything that I just said by saying, look, man, he's Mexican. We Mexicans have to support each other. That's telling me that someone like Robert Garcia, he wouldn't be too cool with seeing someone like Angulo say, oh, Lara's going to beat him. We know what Robert Garcia would think about someone like Angulo if he said that, right? So the whole point that I'm making is, you know, this is not a bad thing. What Robert Garcia is doing when it comes to loyalty and all of that, it's not a bad thing. If you want to represent your people, that's fine. If you're rooting for your own people, that's fine. But the problem, once again, is why is it when I go to the Mayweather gym and do a prediction video, Crawford versus Gamboa, everyone picks Crawford to win the fight, and all of a sudden people playing the race card. Oh, of course, blacks are going to go with blacks. That's what they always do, so on and so forth. What's so funny about this, none of these black guys said what Robert Garcia said, right? No, none of them said, well, you know, this is a black fighter, so, you know, we got to support him and so on and so forth. And nobody said that. And yet you still get these messages of people playing the race card. But Robert Garcia, he just comes straight out and say it. He said, look, man, I'm going for my people. I'm supporting my people. And that's why I'm picking Canelo to win the fight. And when he does that, it's not even that big of a deal. Matter of fact, you got people posting messages saying, well, hey, there's nothing wrong with him saying that. Ain't nothing wrong with going for your own people. And once again, I totally agree with that. You want to support your own people? That's on you. But me personally, I'm not going to base a prediction or talking boxing solely off of race, especially when it comes to predictions, because I understand that no matter how much you like a certain fighter, that ain't going to make him win. I mean, I've already told you guys when it came to Golovkin versus Curtis Stevens was looking really good before that fight. And I like Curtis Stevens a lot, right? But that didn't make me pick him to beat Golovkin. I picked Golovkin to win that fight because I understood Golovkin was a better fighter. It didn't matter who I liked the most. You get it? So let's just stop with the ignorant-ass double standards and play on an even playing field. And just talk nothing but boxing instead of making shit so personal and emotional. I'll talk more about this subject later on in the future, but that's all I got. I'm on to the next one.